How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, thanks.
You're a voice actor too, right?
Oh no, I just interview a bunch of them.
Oh, come on, man. You got a great voice.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Thanks for willing to do this.
for sure. I don't do this often, so let's go, man. Let's do it. What do you got?
Well, the first thing I can ask is what led up to you doing assistant sound effects for this Children of the Corn sequel?
Holy shit. Oh, man. Roundabout story. So I studied acting in New York, and then I came out here to work on it with a comedy troupe. I was doing theater, and I came out here to work with a comedy troupe. And a bunch of my friends worked for Miramax. And a guy I'd hired to direct a show that we were producing in New York, uh, he was one of the early guys that got hired at Miramax
Okay.
right out of NYU. And we became fast friends. And so he hooked me up with all the other guys that he had brought in to Miramax. And they were all these young dudes that came out of NYU, right? And so when Miramax turned their company from a music production, not production so much as a promotion company, they made it into a film kind of acquiration company. So they get these films and all these foreign films and these films that weren't completed yet, and then they get these guys to fix the movies for them. And then one thing led to another, and then they started producing and accommodating production for these other productions. And Children of the Corn was one of them. But actually, they had already done Hellraiser. I guess it was Hellraiser 2. It was Hellraiser 2. And my buddy, who was this guy at Miramax, said, "Why don't you come in and audition? The director hates the voice of the blah, blah, blah." So I came in and auditioned, and they're like, "Yeah, great, let's do it." And then I met the sound designer, and we all became fast friends. And at the time, there was this house in the Hollywood Hills that was called the Miramax house. And all these guys would come out from New York and go back to New York, and they'd stay in LA at this house. And it had a pool and a guest house. And in the guest house was this guy who was taking care of the property. And it was a really nice property. But the inside of the house was trashed because all these guys were living there, right? And so I met this sound designer, and he goes, "Hey, man, would you be interested in assisting me on something?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, what the hell? I've always been interested in sound anyway, doing voiceover and goofing around with sound as a kid." And but then the first show that came around was Children of the Corn 2. And my buddy who's working at Miramax, his name is Steven, or Steve, he said, will you come and help me with this?" And this is when SyncLab was like the only thing you could really do sound on, and you had to help the actual engineer do the work. And so you kind of design stuff in the background while the engineer was working. And so we did that. And we consider ourselves the substitutes, because we weren't really sound designers, but we were creative guys. And so we ended up doing sound design. And then the British guy came back, and I worked on Children of the Corn 3, 4, and 5, I guess, with him. And then another Hellraiser, and Journey of August King, and Narc, and all sorts of different stuff. And we did all of that out of, at the time when we first did it, we were working with it was right at the transition from film to digital, right? And audio vision. He was working on an audio file in Britain, and then he came out here and was working on an audio file for the Children of the Corn 3. And then we started a business together and got an audio vision, which was like the slick Avid audio tool. And at the time, a 9 gig hard drive was about twice the size of this.
Yeah.
Just a 9 gig, right? It was incredible. And so I had a children's theater company at the time, so I was doing children's theater, writing and producing for the weekends. And during the day, during the week, I would be doing sound design as well. And that's how that all happened.
Okay.
And then the rest is, it just like became this thing that I would do because it would accommodate my my working in theater and whatever else I was doing. And I was working most of the time out of a house. So we weren't even in a studio so much as we would just get all the elements and go to his house, John's house, the guy I was working with, and do everything there. So we would cut, whole movies. I'd be sitting in his living room while his wife was watching TV.
Yeah.
Headphones on, working 16-hour days and then go and do children's theater on the weekends. Crazy, man. But it was a blast.
Mhm.
It was a blast. So I still do that every now and then, sound design stuff, when I can. But, I've been pretty busy doing voiceover
Mhm.
for, good since 2012, I guess.
So what's the story of how you got into SAG then?
SAG. How did I get into SAG? I think it was when I did that Hellraiser thing. I was yeah, that was it. When I did the Hellraiser, when I replaced that character in Hellraiser, I got Taft-Hartley.
Yep.
And then I did a bunch of dubbing. I was voice matching a comedian. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. The guy who did all the Ford commercials.
Okay.
Dennis Leary. So I voice matched Dennis Leary for these movies that he was working in, a bunch of Mario Van Peebles movies and stuff like that. And it was like late 90s, I guess. Yeah, early, late, mid 90s. And so I did a bunch of looping on those, and then I got my SAG card that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there some
What's that?
was there something that happened that made you want to pursue voiceover opposed to on camera?
Yeah, I got a face for radio. That's a joke, but you know what? It was a lot voiceover as opposed to on camera. Let me see. How do I say this? When I was a kid, little kid, I remember having a tape deck that my mom had, and I always would tell stories and record them on the tape deck. And throughout my life, as I got older and my voice got deeper and whatever, I mean, people would always say, "Hey, you got a great voice," and we all hear that. You hear that all the time, I'm sure, right? But I always wanted to be an actor. I mean, that was since I was 6. I wanted to be an actor for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it just I always loved that whole environment, and I did it in school when I was a kid, and I just loved that whole presence and playing something else and getting a reaction from the audience. And live theater, there's nothing like it, right? So I mean, I was here in LA, I was doing theater, and I had started doing voiceover stuff in New York. I was working with this guy who lived in my building, who was a very fairly successful guy. And he's like, "Dude, you should really do this. I mean, let me help you out." And then he passed away. So I couldn't really do that anymore.
Mhm.
And so I just did my thing in New York, and then I moved out here, like I said, to do theater with a comedy troupe. And then one thing led to another, and I said, "Fuck it, I'm going to go for this again." I really enjoyed this side of it, and nothing was really happening in my on-camera world. And I was doing a lot of production and sound design stuff. I was working as an art dog and set designer and builder and all sorts of stuff in film. But I was always in the technical side, right? And then so I ended up going for it. I produced a reel and got an agent, and I've been with the same agent ever since, AVO Talent.
Mhm.
Or actually, it was Sandy Schnarr Talent then, but then she partnered up with Peter Verano, and they started AVO.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's how I got into voiceover, and then it's just been. It took a few years to kind of get my feet in, and then I did a lot of stuff on the side, and some stuff hooked. which was great.
And was the way that you got into anime like through people that you knew, or?
I was just, I was always out. And one thing I love about this business in general is how social it is.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a really social being, and I love being out with people. And that's why one of the reasons I love theater is because, you're with this group of people and you're all working for a common goal, and you're creative and you solve problem solving all the time. And so in that respect, that's kind of how I ended up in anime. Was I was working with a bunch of people, and I think I was doing loop group somewhere, and somebody was talking about anime, and I've always loved anime. And I thought how cool it would be to do some of that. And then so I kind of went and auditioned, and nothing really happened there. That was early Bang Zoom days, I guess. And then I kind of reached out again and started working. And so I've done, I don't know how many now. I mean, it's been a lot. I just did like 3 this last week.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a blast.
Well, I know one of the characters that you've gotten to do probably the most with is Juzo in the Conan series.
Oh yeah. Man, you are informed. And you probably know more of what I've done than I do.
Yeah.
I kind of just do it and move on, but it's always fun. It's always fun to kind of throw a new spin on something and that kind of thing. The Conan characters are great though. That was a fun show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it keeps going, man, which is crazy.
Right.
It's like keep calling up, hey, you got another episode. Great.
Oh, did you get involved with the Fire Emblem franchise? Did you do 3 Houses before Heroes?
Yes, I did. I think I was in both of those. The Heroes was the sequel, right?
Heroes is the mobile game that's like continually ongoing.
Right. So yes, I did the first one, and played the same character, Rodrigo again, right? That was Rodrigo, correct?
Yeah, well, he was only in 3 Houses.
Was he?
Yeah, at least right now he is.
Oh, because I shouldn't say any more about that, should I?
Oh, okay. That's good to hear then.
No. So yeah, I guess that was just the mobile game. What was I in? It must have been something else because they were playing that on a game console. Some friends of mine's kids were playing that on a game console. I don't remember. Anyways, yeah, the Fire Emblem was great. That was fun to work on too, because everybody on that crew was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, these are in the top column. Those are your characters in Heroes.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so yeah. That was Hunter x Hunter, wasn't it? On the bottom right there.
Yeah, Bancho.
Yeah. And the other character was Boss. Yeah. What's his name?
Bancho.
No, there's another one. The guy on the right with that looks like Elvis.
Oh, that's the king from
Rumi.
Zero.
Was it Rumi? No. What's his name? He's a poet. He's a haiku poet. I can't believe I'm forgetting this. It's a testament to my brain being fried.
Well, both your characters in the Fire Emblem mobile game are Har, who has an eye patch, and then the other one is Kanagus, who's like a big red-haired monster hybrid guy.
Okay. I should call you when I don't even know what I've done.
Okay.
I'm embarrassed by this, but it's like there's always so much going on. Because I mean, it's like, where did you get that? I don't even know how to do any of that. It's like, yeah, I can do the sound design on your movie for you, but I couldn't put 4 pictures together. Yes, I've done. Oh.
Well, do you remember, was that for all the Fire Emblem sessions, was that Patrick Seitz directing you?
Yeah. Patrick's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's great. Have you interviewed him yet?
No.
Has he responded to you?
Yeah, it wasn't very long ago. He just said that he was super he was super busy right now.
Well, he's a superstar, man.
Yeah.
He's a hero in this business. Yeah, he was great to work with. Fun guy. Very creative, very talented.
Well, I guess between in terms of anime characters or like anime game characters you played, is there one that stands out the most to you? Or is it pretty much Juzo from Conan?
You know, Basho, that's his name. He was a blast. Um, I just enjoyed the whole kind of the badass poet concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Also, there was another show, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was about mahjong. It was a mahjong series.
That's March comes in like a lion.
Yes, dude, you are a virtual encyclopedia. Yeah, March comes in like a lion. That character was a blast because he was so thoughtful and he had a lot of depth to him. So it was really good to kind of be in that, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of the characters I've done are like these demon characters or whatever, you go nutballs and you know, like I actually remember I was doing one show and I could hear the other character I was working with was Kirk Thornton.
Yeah.
He worked with and it was pretty funny because I had to call him afterwards and say, Kirk, I just worked with you virtually. And that was just these were nutball characters, right?
Mhm.
But March comes in like a lion was really great because it was, you know, grounded and really thoughtful and also really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a beautiful anime.
What do you think the darkest headspace you've had to go for a character is?
Myself. Darkest headspace. Wow. That's a really good question. Even in the darkest kind of elements, I haven't done anything that was like seriously dark. It's all there is a level of separation. I mean, it's like working on horror films,
Yeah.
right? When I was like 13 years old, did you ever see Amityville Horror?
Yep.
Did you see the first one?
Yep.
Okay. The first time I saw that, I was waking up at 3:14 every morning. I could see red eyes in windows when I'd walk by. It really had a huge impact. I had insomnia. I couldn't sleep. I was terrified. But then I'm like, some friends of mine were like, "You want to go see this movie? We're going to go see this movie." And it was that movie again. And I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go and see if I can get onto the other side of this." And I think I was like 14 years old because it really messed me up. And then, so I went and saw it again and laughed through the whole thing because
Oh,
I recognized how completely absurd it all was. And I think my attitude towards darkness outside of real darkness, which is what's happening in Kosovo, what's happening in Ukraine right now, or in politics. I mean, it's just a freaking nightmare, right? That's the dark, real dark stuff. And I think that's where I go dark is when I start thinking about human nature in that way and
okay.
how, you know, these guys with guns going out and shooting people at a school, children. I mean, really? The cowardice in that is insane.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the darkness is. And I think everything I do creatively is play, right? It allows me to play a dark character. And I think the only real darkness I've gone to uh, is in characters like theater that have been people who I've never really I've played a couple of bad guys, but like people who've made mistakes, you know, like that's where the human condition is, right? One guy, I did this one play in college and then did it again like 10 years later. And it's called Shadow Play. And it was about the conflict between Ireland and England and how this one soldier had killed a bunch of kids by accident, because he was put in a position where he had to defend himself and he was scared. And that would be kind of the darkest place I've been in, is doing that kind of theater.
Mhm. Well, I know it's not, I mean, well, it is kind of dark, but it's more crazy than dark, because I know you got to do multiple roles on JoJo.
Yeah, JoJo. Yeah, that's nutty. I don't know how dark that is, but it's pretty crazy for sure. Yeah, that was a blast.
Mhm.
What's great too is the production value in all of these things. Some of them that, you really recognize the value that people have in when they go into the production value of things.
Yeah.
Like the level of production value, when everybody's kind of united in telling the same story and they all kind of hit the mark together. That's huge. For sure.
Well, I know most recently you got to be BK, the pirate in the Final Fantasy
Oh
Origin.
yeah, that was a blast. That was a lot of fun. And as a matter of fact, there's been a lot of buzz around that show. There's a lot of people really seem to have dug that thing.
Mhm.
And that pirate was a blast to play too, just in terms of what it was. I haven't even actually seen it yet. But I'm dying to see it. BK was fun.
Mhm.
I kind of modeled him after our Johnny Depp friend here. Yeah, that was great. And those guys out of PCB are awesome too.
Mhm. Is there anything else that you're part of that's upcoming you can safely talk about, or?
I've just done a bunch of stuff in the last month that I can't talk about because none of it's released yet. But are you in LA?
No, I'm in Minnesota.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Whereabouts are you?
Just like 20 mile or 25 miles outside of Minneapolis in the
Oh,
suburb.
right on. My sister lives in Minneapolis
Oh, okay.
or St. Paul. She
Yeah.
lives on the
Yeah.
side of that line, whatever that is. Yeah, it's beautiful up there, man.
Yeah. At least when it's, well, I mean, it's cold like most of the year, but
But that's good, right?
yeah.
I mean, it could be hot as hell like it is right now down here.
Yeah.
Because it is. It's like hot and kind of humid, which is wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gorgeous up there. I love that area.
Also,
Go ahead.
it sounds like, well, based off what you were saying, that you did some kind of recent work on more Fire Emblem stuff, but you can't talk about it.
I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea. Now, I think it was Fire Emblem, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Now I don't know because I thought that was already done.
No,
It was I thought that's the one you were talking about, the Fire Emblem. What was that show you just said? The circles, what is it? Fire Emblem, the second one you just said?
oh, Heroes.
Heroes. I thought that's what that was.
Well, what?
When did Heroes come out?
Oh, it came out in 2017 first, but both your characters they came out in 2019.
Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. So when are you gonna interview Patrick? Because he's great.
Oh, he just said that was just like a week ago. He just said he was too busy right now. But I've interviewed like so many people he's friends with too.
Yeah. Well, it's a very it's a small crowd of people.
Right.
And we all come through. I guess the directors are the ones who get to see everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we kind of come through and we're in and out, and the engineers too. And now with the pandemic being what it was, it's like all of us are working out of our houses, and so
Right.
you don't really see anybody, and it's all just kind of audio. You just hear them.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a trip this whole last couple of years. I feel so bad because I'm completely unprepared.
No, it's okay.
I don't really watch any of this stuff, honestly.
Okay.
At this point, because my son does. He watches everything.
Okay.
He's 15, and I think he's watched I think he's watched everything on Netflix and Amazon, all the anime stuff. And
Okay.
as a matter of fact, what's trippy about that is the school he just went to, they were teaching Japanese. And how unusual, right? I mean, it's kind of bizarre that Japanese would be in this, like downtown LA, they'd be having, you can learn Japanese or Spanish. And I can understand, just because of the popularity of Mandarin or Chinese, that would be a language option. But he was learning Japanese, and now he watches all anime in Japanese. He doesn't watch the dubs.
Yep.
So he doesn't know what I'm in because he's watching the Japanese.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool, man.
What about Pod Taxi? Do you remember that?
I do. I do remember that. That was fun. Played a baboon. That's right. That's right. He was a very sentimental chap,
Yep.
that guy, and also played a guy in the hospital, the medic, I guess.
Yep.
Wasn't he a medic or a doctor? That was a fun show. When did that come out? When was that released?
Well, that was just like a few months ago.
Oh, right on. Wow. So can you put all this together for me? I'll pay you to assemble everything.
Yeah.
Dude, that's great that you have all that stuff sorted out.
Well, it's
Is,
just
is that what's on? How do you source this material? I mean, how do you know about all the characters? Is it on IMDb?
most of it is, but I usually go on Anime News Network.
Wow.
Yeah, they always have everything listed.
I'm gonna have to go on and check it out.
Yeah.
Probably.
What about
Go ahead.
I think you did a number of characters on Demon Slayer, like incidental characters.
Yeah, I do remember Demon Slayer, and I remember I played some pretty wacky characters on that too.
Yeah. Steve
Yeah. There was a lot of screaming going on. I remember. I was actually I played a Native American character on something, and that was an extraordinary experience because they had a Native American guy from Washington State actually vocal coaching me while I was doing it. And that was so challenging and wonderful. The guy who was the Native American guy was awesome, right? Because he had an enormous amount of patience. The language itself, though, was so incredibly difficult because it didn't seem like it was for our patterns or linguistics. It was so contrary to, and I used to speak Arabic, and so it was even more odd than that, right? It was like this off. Just how it was broken up was incredible. I couldn't even say a line to you right now from that thing. And but that was an incredible experience. Yeah, that was great to work on. And I don't remember what the character was or what the show was.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to look into this a little more deeply.
Okay.
You're saying Anime Weekly,
Yeah, News Network.
Anime News Network? I love the work.
Yeah.
That's what's most thrilling to me is going in and diving in and having a good time with the characters and seeing where you can go and the variety you can bring to it. That's the best part. The work is everything. That's why it's like, yeah, I don't really know about, I don't know maybe the names of the stuff that I've done, and I've played all sorts of different characters, and
Yeah.
it's just fun to do. And I'm so grateful to be able to do it, right? That's the huge part, is being able to do it. And I've always loved doing it, so I'm grateful for that, for sure.
Well, it does tie into my final question is always asking people, what do you want your legacy to be?
My legacy. Well, you know, I have a lot of ideas and scripts or ideas or actually stuff that's in development right now that I'm putting together. And stories that change people's lives for the better are kind of where my head's at. Right now, I'm working on a podcast about foster youth, and I'm honored to be a part of that, right? Because it's about improving the lives of people who wouldn't otherwise you know, that's another thing about human nature. You know, you kind of listen to the stories and it's about our communities and trying to improve our communities. I think that's in one way, in one small step, if I can be a part of improving our communities, you know, so that we can all be a little more happy, I think that would be a hell of a legacy to pass on.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What's your big goal?
I guess just since I've been doing interviews that I always tell people that ask that it's not impossible. You just have to be polite and persistent and try to do things that make yourself stand out from anybody else who's trying to do the same thing. So that's what I would tell people in regards to a legacy about what I'm doing now.
So you want to keep interviewing? You want to do this kind of as a thing?
Yeah, it's been, I mean, it just keeps going in the more positive direction as it keeps going. So
Excellent, man. That's awesome.
thanks.
Yeah, you're making a difference. You're finding it, and you know, just being who you are. I think that's the most important thing, is being the truest self.
Right.
That's I mean, you can't that sets you apart from everybody else, right? Being your truest self.
Yeah.
Because you're a unique being. We're all just one little fingerprint, right?
Yeah.
That makes us who we are. That's awesome.
Well, thanks. I'm glad we got to do this.
I am too, man. And thank you. You kind of opened my eyes to what I've done.
Yeah, no problem.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's great talking to you, man.
Yeah. I'll have a good rest of your day then.
You too.
Bye.
All right, dude. See you.